Hello, it's Paul from CRO Genie, and for this website review, we will be looking at the Amelio Solar Energy website. This is a local company that provides solar panels and battery systems to both homeowners and businesses. For the purpose of this video, we're going to focus on the homeowners webpage, which is the one that you see on the screen right now. So I'm going to start by just pointing out something that I've spotted on the navigation, which is as you hover over the navigation, the background of it changes from a dark blue black kind of background to a white background, and it doesn't appear to really serve much purpose. So I'm not quite sure why it's there, but I personally find that quite distracting. And so I would recommend that gets changed to a static kind of a colour. I think the yellow contact us button, it's good that it's bright and stands out, but it works much better on the darker background than it does on the lighter background. For a lighter background, I would recommend having a border around the button because that would help to make it pop and stand out a little bit better. In terms of the headline section and the hero image, this is quite common for this kind of website. So a lot of local and tradespeople kind of websites adopt this approach where you have an image relating usually to the service that they provide in the background or to the side, and then a small amount of text on the left-hand side. And in this case, I would say that the contrast between the colour of the text of the headline and the background probably isn't really enough. So it doesn't really pop and stand out. And I think there might be some issues in terms of accessibility for people with visibility issues to actually read that clearly. So I definitely recommend looking at that as one thing to change. From a conversion point of view, I think the actual word in there, it's time to get electricity freedom. It's sort of trying to attain one of the benefits and point out a benefit, but it doesn't really tell you much about what the service is and why you should use this company. So I think they could definitely reword that headline to be more benefit driven and to really push home why Amelio Solar Energy is the place to go for these solutions. They could use a subhead in order to get across a little bit more information if they don't want to make the headline too long. And there's also a lot of space here. This is a valuable area of the website, and there's not really much there to kind of tell you that you're in the right place, to give you any trust or reassurance. So I think there's more that they can use there. And I know that I had a quick look at the website before the video started, and I know there's some things down at the bottom that I can mention that could come to the top to help with that. So I'm going to start scrolling down the website, and this site has a really interesting kind of sort of secondary navigation here. So as you scroll through, you see we've got one page there which is all about the homeowners, but if you click here where you expect just this box to change, actually the entire web page changes. So you end up back at the top again. It's a completely different page. We've got a different headline, even though the image is still the same. And all of this content has now changed. And now the homeowners button has also moved across to the right. So from a usability point of view, this is not very user friendly at all. The fact that the navigation option moves around, the fact that you change to a different page without necessarily expecting it. So you can see whichever page is active now appears on this left-hand side of there. And the content below for the entire page changes just from this one navigation, which disappears as you scroll. So from a usability point of view, this website could actually be seen as quite difficult to use. If we go back to the homeowners page where we started, so the other thing I'd point out is that whenever you put content behind a submenu like this, even if it works as you would expect in terms of just changing this section, you're hiding content away that's relying on people to click to find it. So you should make sure that none of your important information is behind those clicks, because quite frankly, a percentage of your traffic just won't see it. So that menu aside, let's carry on scrolling down. You can see again there's a button here which would benefit from having some kind of border around it in order to help it pop and stand out. But we have got some good copy here. Invest in solar panels to reduce your electricity bills. that tells you exactly what you should do and why you should do it, what the key benefit is. You can reduce your electricity bills by investing in solar panels. So that's good. And the copy underneath, as I read it, sounds pretty good as well. Solar panels, especially when combined with battery storage, can provide a significant reduction on home electricity costs. The cost of installation have reduced considerably over the years as electricity prices have dramatically increased. There's been no better time to invest. So I think that copy is actually quite strong, and it's good to see that the level of the copy is probably higher than the level of the usability on the website. What I'd look to do is maybe add a bit of a space there between the first line and the second, just to help that readability, make it look less of a large paragraph to read, because the shorter the paragraphs look, the more people will actually read them. And as I say, this is nice copy, so we want to get as many people reading that copy as we possibly can. So as we carry on and scroll through the page further, so start your journey to energy efficiency today, and we've got a search box here. I say it's a search box. It looks like so you enter your address and then it will bring up. We're not going to do that on the video, but that could be quite a nice kind of thing, interactive. It would depend on exactly how that process works. Hopefully it doesn't take people away from the website. It doesn't look like it does, so that looks pretty solid. As we get through to this section here, again, there's quite a lot of text here, and without reading all of this word for word for you, if you look, it's a panel choices that doesn't really convey any benefits. And if you scan read through here, it's basically talking about the different options that they offer. So first, the most cost-effective choice on roof mounted panel, and then the second option is roof integrated panels, and the third is a roof integrated panel. So it's going into quite a lot of detail about what the different choices are for people. And I think that's a mistake on this website, because the site hasn't really done much to reassure you that Amelio Energy, Solar Energy, are the company that you want to use, and make sure that you're fully converted on the idea of using them to install what you want. And it's starting to introduce lots of different options for the visitor. As we scroll down, obviously some pictures to show the different options, and then we get onto inverter and battery choices as well. So then we've got 3 different choices for that. So with 3 different panel options combined with 3 different inverter and battery choices just mentioned on the page, we've obviously got lots of different decisions to be making there. Which roof panel do we want? Which inverter and battery do we want? And the more decisions that you ask a customer to make, the less likely they are to actually convert. And most of this information is probably information overload for the people visiting this page. This is the kind of thing that you would expect people to go through on a visit to your property when they're talking through the different options available to you. For now, I feel that this website should be focused on getting the person to actually make contact with the business. And that means they don't necessarily need to have decided exactly what solution they want. They don't need to have read up on all of the different options and started coming up with their opinion as to which one is best for them. They just need to know that Amelio Solar Energy are the best company for them and are going to give them a fair, reasonable quote and a good quality of work. And they would be expecting the company to some degree to be recommending what is best for them and explaining the different options to them. So I think as far as a website goes, I think this is going into far too much information for what the majority of people would want. It's okay to include some of this information, but not on one of the main web pages on the site. If you really want to include that level of detail, then put it into another page on the site and just link to it from the main page. Ultimately, you tend to get 2 different types of people on a website. You get people who want lots and lots of information and lots of detail, and so you can send those off to those more detailed pages. But you also get a lot of people who just kind of want the top level overview of what's on offer, how much it's going to cost them, and some kind of evidence that you're the right company for them. And they don't want to get into that level of detail. So if you can cater for both of those just by splitting those pages up. We've then got a box here with a testimonial in. I'm not keen on these dark boxes with the light text, not so many of them anyway. If you think we've now got two sections here. So we've got the perfect partners, the testimonial, and then all of these inverter and battery choices, all with this dark box and light text. I think it starts to get a little bit too much, and it starts to get a little bit difficult, especially on the perfect partners page, to actually read all of this text. There's quite a lot of text there with the white text on the dark background. So I'd definitely look to kind of break that up a little bit and not have so much dark space. And I think that would improve the readability. And again, they're doing a lot of work in trying to sell what you should have rather than try and sell them as a business as to why you should use them. And it's a common mistake, especially that smaller businesses make. They focus on telling people what they'll get, not why they need it or why they should use that company in order to get it. So that's always a useful thing to think when you're producing your website. Talk less about what it is and more about why somebody should have it and why you're the best person to provide it or the best company. So we go a little bit further down, we've got some frequently asked questions. I always like to see frequently asked questions on websites. I think they're an excellent way to overcome objections, which is one of the best ways that you can improve the conversion of a website. But they're also a good way for you to get some of that extra level of detail in there without affecting the journey for other people who don't necessarily need that information. So I'm a fan of including the frequently asked questions for sure. And then towards the bottom of the page, we've now got customer stories, and these are actually pretty good. I mean, these are like case studies by the looks of it. If I click on that, I think it goes through to a full explanation of this particular customer and their experience. I'd like to see, we've got some good benefits here. So 42% bill reduction there, 30% bill reduction there. And that's one of the key things. If you're going to invest in solar panels and battery storage, the main reason you're doing it, you might have other reasons, you might have the environmental reasons, but for most people the main reason is to reduce the bills. And so when you've got actual case studies that show people and real houses, real people who have had it done, and you can show how much they reduce their bills, I think that's a really strong selling point. And I'd like to have seen that this part of the image would have been made much bigger, so it's really obvious how much each of these people saved. And I think these should be much higher up on the page. So I'm talking like right up here, right near the very top section of the website. We want to get across the benefits and give people trust in the product and the company right from the very start. And those would be an excellent way of doing that. As we get down to the form, again, we've got these dark boxes with the lighter text. I do feel that this would look better and work better if it was a bit lighter, even if it was just the boxes themselves were a lighter colour with dark text in them. I think that would help. As well, whenever you get a form, always look at the level of information you're asking for. Do you need every single field that's on there? So bearing in mind, this is only the first contact that you're asking somebody to make with you. You can collect more details when you speak to them. So you don't necessarily need every field filling out. Company name, for instance, is that one that's really necessary? It doesn't appear to be a required field, but the more fields you put on a form, required or not, the longer the form looks, the more difficult it looks for people to fill in, and therefore the fewer people will actually fill it in. So that's definitely something I would look at changing there. And I think submit, I think there could be a much better way to phrase that button text. Could also benefit, I think, from underneath actually explaining what happens next, how long before somebody is going to contact you, and how is it going to play out from there. So changing that button text, adding a little bit more expectation text could really help that, especially when directly underneath it we've now got achieve electricity freedom, which is a much better way. That could even go on the button here, achieve electricity freedom, submit today, inquire now. Those kind of wordings would probably work better for that button. And I don't think this section is actually needed given the form is directly above it. So they could get rid of that section there. And then some of the things I wanted to just point out are down in this bottom right hand corner, kind of hidden away. So we've got approved installer, and we've got these different schemes that they appear to be a member of, and it's all hidden away down in the bottom right, as is this top rated Google reviews 5-star image here as well. These should certainly be at the very top of the website. I think they're waste hidden away. Companies work hard to get reviews, often pay a lot of money and work hard to become members of these kind of schemes. Shout about it at the very top, because these are the kind of things, if you include them in this top section, that will immediately reassure people that you're a good, reputable company that they should be doing business with. And once you've got over that barrier, you can then start to sell what the solution is that you offer. So plenty to go at for this website. And as I say, a lot of these tips and suggestions would apply to many other small tradespeople orientated websites as well.